I called Anna with the same uneasy flutter I used to get before sitting for an important exam. My only child, my only daughter. Surely she would pick up and smooth over the silence of the past weeks with some happy news. When she answered, I gently asked if she had chosen a date for the wedding. There was a pause. Then her voice, cool, triumphant. We already got married yesterday. It was for people who are special. I sat frozen, the phone pressed to my ear. 3 years of paying their rent, stocking their pantry, covering their bills, sending money for every urgent situation. I had convinced myself that was what love required. Those 2 words, special people, slid in like knives. Across the room hung the soft lavender dress I had chosen months ago, draped neatly on the closet door. I had imagined standing proudly beside my daughter, smiling for photos that would last forever. Now, the dress looked like a costume for a performance I was never invited to join. A memory surfaced. Anna as a little girl running to me during a storm, whispering, "You're my favorite person, Mommy." How quickly memories can curdle when paired with betrayal. The phone rang again. It was my sister, Helena, calling from Ohio. "So, how was the big day?" she asked brightly. My throat tightened. I muttered something about a tiny ceremony, just the couple. The lie tasted acidic, but I wasn't ready to speak the humiliating truth. That night, I lay awake with my eyes on the ceiling, grief tangled with embarrassment so tightly I couldn't separate one from the other. Special people echoed again and again in my mind, carving hollow spaces inside me. In the morning, the lavender dress still hung there untouched. I knew it now marked a turning point. The dress lay across my bed like a silent reproach. Next to it sat the unopened shoebox with the silver heels I had picked out carefully, picturing how they'd shimmer on her wedding day. On my nightstand, an envelope stuffed with 10 crisp $100 bills, my gift for their new beginning. All of it untouched, all of it pointless. Out of habit, I opened my phone and scrolled. There it was, the wedding I had been excluded from. Anna in a lace gown, glowing, her arm looped through Gideon's. His parents stood proudly beside them, champagne held high. The siblings-in-law beamed. I studied the images slowly, masochistically. The gown, yes, the same one she said she needed bill money for. I had wired her $800, trying to ease a burden. Instead, I had bought myself out of a place at my own daughter's wedding. There was no hint of regret on her face, no flicker of sadness that I wasn't there, just joy, and strangers claiming the title of family. A tightness gripped my chest. "I was never supposed to be in this picture," I whispered. Another old promise surfaced. Years ago, Anna had told me during one of our late-night talks. "When I get married, you'll be the first person I call." I'd clung to that as if it were sacred. Now, the sting of that broken vow cut deeper than the wasted money and fabric on my bed. I shoved the dress into the closet and slid the envelope back into the drawer. They disappeared behind doors, but the humiliation didn't. Something sharp and unfamiliar stirred inside me, scraping against years of self-blame. It wasn't just hurt anymore. It was anger, low and steady, waiting. A week later, that anger got its first test. 7 days had crawled by. I barely ate, drifting through the house like a ghost. Then the phone rang. Anna. Her voice, so smug the day she told me I wasn't special, now trembled. "Mom, the rent is past due. The landlord's threatening us. You forgot to send the transfer." For a split second, I nearly moved on instinct. I saw the woman I used to be, running to the bank in the rain, skipping my own doctor appointments, living on cheap canned food so they could feast. Sacrifice had become muscle memory. But things had shifted since the lavender dress stayed hidden. I sat down slowly. "Anna," I said, voice calm as a blade. "I told you. I only help special people now." Silence. Heavy. I could almost hear her breath catch. "Mom," she whispered, "don't be heartless." Heartless. The irony almost made me laugh. "I've gotta go," I said, hanging up before she could weave more pity. I set the phone down. The quiet in the house felt different, peaceful, not accusatory. I made myself a pot of coffee. For decades, every cup I brewed was followed by someone else's needs. That morning, I sipped slowly, tasting something almost foreign. Freedom. It was only coffee. But it tasted like the start of something new. I spread years of receipts across the dining table, an army of numbers accusing me. I grabbed my calculator. $500 each month for rent. 3 years. 18,000. Groceries, utilities, all the little emergencies. 12,000. Loans that never returned. 3,400. Total. $33,400. I leaned back, staring at the photo of Robert on the sideboard. "I spent your legacy buying affection that never existed," I whispered. Shame throbbed, but beneath it, clarity rose. The next morning, I marched into the bank. Mr. Kane blinked when he saw me. "Stop all automatic transfers to Anna and Gideon," I said. He hesitated. "Mrs. Albright, are you certain? You haven't missed one payment in 3 years." "Yes," I said. "I've been asleep long enough." Signing those papers felt like taking back my pulse. At home, the silence returned. But this time, the absence of texts, demands, and guilt felt like a gift. Across the street, Eleanor waved at me kindly. "Everything all right?" she called. Her voice held more warmth than anything I'd heard from my daughter in months. I nodded, though my throat tightened, but I had no idea the next storm was already on its way. When I turned onto my street, something felt wrong. 3 unfamiliar cars sat in front of my house. My stomach tightened. Inside, Anna, Gideon, and a man in a gray suit. My papers sprawled across my dining table as though I had already died. In Gideon's hand, my spare keys. "Mom," Anna began sweetly, "this is Mr. Fallon. He'll help you sign a few forms so we can temporarily manage your finances." My pulse pounded. The lawyer slid a packet toward me, his expression smooth and practiced. Fear clawed up my throat. Then I picked up the file, walked to the trash can, and dropped it inside. "No transition is happening here," I said. "Except yours, out of my house." Anna's voice sharpened. "Don't do this. We're trying to protect you." Gideon muttered something foul. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Mrs. Albright, these documents are simply... My peace of mind comes when you leave." I pointed at the door. After a tense pause, they left, angry, muttering threats. I locked the door, shaking. Their love had never been unconditional. It had been a leash. And when they couldn't control me with guilt, they would try something worse. 3 days later, the next blow came. I was washing mugs when the doorbell rang. A neatly dressed woman stood holding a clipboard. "Mrs. Albright, I'm with Senior Services. We received reports about your mental condition. May I step inside?" The words hit like cold water. Reports. Mental condition. I didn't need to guess who filed them. I let her in, then immediately phoned Mr. Weber, the attorney whose number I had saved. He arrived quickly, steady and calm. "Show her what you showed me," he said. We laid out everything. My organized bills, clean home, well-stocked kitchen, scheduled appointments. I answered every question clearly. The investigator eventually closed her folder. I see no signs of incapacity. The case is dismissed. When she left, I collapsed into a chair, trembling. They want me declared incompetent, I whispered. Weber's face hardened. This is financial elder abuse. They're escalating. That night, I dreamed of Anna as a little girl chasing bubbles until she transformed into the cold-eyed woman clutching legal papers. Love had been replaced by strategy. And I knew worse was coming. The official letter arrived days later, a petition for guardianship. Anna and Gideon were asking the court to take away my autonomy. I read it twice, then again. My throat tightened. They listed witnesses, a grumpy neighbor, and shockingly, my longtime pharmacist, tricked by Lena into signing something he didn't understand. I called Weber. We'll confront this, he said. Take an independent cognitive exam, not because you need it, because it protects you. I spent hours in Dr. Moore's office, answering questions, solving puzzles, explaining finances. When she finished, she smiled warmly. You're exceptionally sharp. There's no hint of impairment. But fear still sat heavy in me. A court could still choose performance over truth, tears over facts. That evening, Eleanor visited with cookies. I told her everything. She held my hand. We'll stand by you. You're clear-headed. We've seen it. Her kindness, simple, steady, felt like breath after drowning. The hearing date crept closer. The courthouse smelled of old wood and anxiety. My palms were slick as I sat beside Weber. When our case was called, Anna and Gideon entered dramatically. Anna in black, as if mourning. Her testimony was polished, full of trembling emotion. She isolates. She spends recklessly. We just want to help her. Weber rose. When was the last time you contacted your mother without requesting money? Anna froze. And did you, or did you not, tell her only special people were invited to your wedding? Her face flushed. Those words were twisted, she muttered. Gideon testified next, painting me as unstable. But under questioning, cracks spread through their story. The pharmacist admitted he'd been misled. The neighbor rambled about minor annoyances, not concern. Then it was my turn. I walked to the stand, weak in the knees but determined. I spoke of the money, the wedding exclusion, finding a lawyer rifling through my documents, the attempt to corner me into signatures. My voice wavered, but I did not break. When I sat down again, the room felt suspended, waiting. Judge Miller eventually returned. Mrs. Albright is fully competent, he announced. This appears to be an attempt at financial exploitation. Petition denied. Relief hit me like a wave. Across the aisle, Anna's face twisted. She hissed as she passed. You'll die alone. I exhaled. Better alone with self-respect, I whispered, then surrounded by thieves. Weber guided me outside. It's time to secure your estate, he said. Make sure they can't try this again. That afternoon, I rewrote my will. No open doors, only a trust dedicated to charities that protect seniors, a document impossible to twist. That evening, neighbors gathered with casseroles and wine. To freedom, Eleanor toasted. To courage. I lifted my glass, tears slipping down my cheeks. For the first time in years, tomorrow didn't scare me. Months rolled by. I no longer marked time by court hearings or bank transfers. I sold the old house and moved into a bright apartment downtown, full of sun and new smells, fresh bread, street music, laughter. I joined a volunteer group teaching older adults how to spot financial manipulation. Sharing my story became a warning and a lantern. I traveled again. Florence, sketching the Duomo in fading light. New Orleans, letting strangers spin me into clumsy dances to jazz, life tasted new. One evening, my phone buzzed. "Mom, we need to talk." I stared at the message, then typed back, "Start with an apology, not a request." I silenced my phone. On the balcony, I looked up at the stars and whispered, "I thought love came with a price. Now I know better."